Hello all, it's James Johnson aka Sulfurblade. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my content, and welcome to Burden of Command. So I'm pretty excited about this one. I was perusing Steam, as people do, and Steam recommended this game to me. It's in the price range of games I tend to go after, about $20 on sale right now. And I thought, a war game. There's a lot of war games. So typically, you know, it's nowhere near being an automatic purchase as of yet. So I check it out on Steam, look at the little videos that they do to promote their product, and the first video pretty much sold me immediately. I was like, ooh, this looks good. This is a war game that also adds RPG elements, and you're basically playing as the captain of a squad where you're going to have to deal with various different events that pop up, and your choices are going to matter. And that was like an automatic, I got to download this, play this game. I got to see how this plays. I didn't look at a single bit of YouTube on this game as of yet. I just immediately downloaded it and decided that I'm going to jump into it blind as a bat with you guys. The only thing I did check was to see if there was anyone covering this game, and the Historical Gamer is currently covering this game, and we've covered a lot of the same things. So to me, if the Historical Gamer is interested in this game, I'm probably going to enjoy it. Let's just put it like that. So let's there's only one thing to choose, and that's the campaign. Scenarios are not open yet because evidently we have to get farther in the campaign, and we can't continue because we haven't. So this is the only place to click right now, is on campaign. So we're going to click on that. Pick campaign. Cotton Ballers seems to be the only campaign available, so we'll be starting with that. Pick your difficulty. While you want the narrative, you are engaged by a strong tactical challenge. After boot camp, your enemies will all have plus 100 XP and trust compared to balanced difficulty. Note that your primary tactical challenge will still not come till you meet the Germans. Intended for more hardcore strategy players or Grongards who value mastering a nuanced tactical system. Balanced, you value equally both tactical play and narrative, intended for players who are familiar with strategy and tactics games, including tactical RPGs, and story focused. You want to immerse yourself in the narrative and the lives of your men with less emphasis on the tactical challenges. Your Cotton Ballers start with an extra 100 XP and 100 trust, a good pick for a player who rarely plays tactical games. Well, I do play a fair amount of tactical games. I wouldn't say it's my specialty. However, I wouldn't say I cover a lot of tactical games. Let's just put it that way. But I cover games of a huge, vast swath of different things. And I tend to like my games on the easier side. However, I don't like my games to be too easy. Story focus is typically in most games too easy, so I'm assuming that balanced is going to be the just right median where I'm going to like it. At the same time, I don't really know what this game is about as of yet. This might be a game where I might prefer story, or it might be a game where I'm going to want to turn up tactician. I don't know how much the RPG element of the game is going to weigh compared to the tactical side of the game. Is it balanced? Is RPG bigger? Is RPG smaller? I don't know as of yet, but I do know that I like the idea of mixing the two. Not something you see very often. I don't know of many tactical RPGs, if I have to be frank. This is going to be fun. WASD moves the camera, scroll wheel to zoom in and out. Yes, that's Pretty standard. I'm assuming the game is loading right now. Okay, warning. This campaign occasionally shows disturbing images of graphic violence intended to convey the true burden of war. If this is not fit for you, then please consider refunding the game now. Yeah, that's fine.
Hello, this is Luke Hughes, lead designer for Burden of Command, and I'm breaking through the fourth wall today, ouch, to thank you. Thank you for taking a risk on something new, a leadership RPG. Now I imagine you're here hoping to test your mettle as a leader, emotionally, morally, tactically, in World War II. For us to give you that experience, it means a risk for you. What's the risk? Well, a new approach obviously requires a learning curve, and we all know learning curves can produce confusion, hell, even frustration, and playtesting has shown that there is a learning curve for Burden. Two kinds. The easier part, where you learn new mechanics, not tried before, and then the much harder ones, where we break some of your likely pretty ingrained assumptions about how, for example, repeated shooting will kill an enemy unit. We instead do something called the 4Fs, which we'll get into later. The point is, I'm going to be breaking in occasionally here to help you with video demonstrations, along with some design explanations about why we break these conventions. But remember, it's all to give you a credible leadership role-playing experience. And hey, we know these fourth wall break-ins may be jarring at times, but extensive playtesting has shown these videos can really help your journey. So please, keep an open mind, and hey, Cotton Baler, good luck out there.
Alright, I don't know why I'm going to point this out, but I am retired Navy, and so, you know, I've gone through boot camp, I've, you know, dealt with the Gulf Wars, so hopefully some of my real life knowledge will help out with this. Who knows? We'll see. Let's commence my journey here. That first mile, 24 September 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Morning dew dribbles down the bright leaves of the forest. Ahead, Platoon Sergeant Bennett leads the way beneath the canopy. That should be the hill, he noted, and gestures towards the rise to the east. A bit of a walk, but we're close. On his back is slung the standard issue American M1 rifle, a near twin to your own. Well, yeah, it should be a twin to your own. You said that 10 miles ago, Sergeant. I should take another compass bearing. It sounds like he knows where he's going. Ahead, Platoon Sergeant Bennett leads the way beneath the canopy. That should be the hill, he notes, and gestures towards the rise to the east. A bit of a walk, but we're close. On his back. Well, I'm not going to question the sergeant. I should take another compass bearing. It sounds like he knows where he's going. Well, first, I'm not going to question the sergeant. At the same time, it doesn't hurt to, I assume, take a compass bearing here. I don't know. Who am I in regards to what's going on here? Am I just a private following this platoon sergeant around, or is Sergeant Bennett leading a platoon ahead of my own platoon? I'm not getting a good feeling of what's going on here. So I'm gonna make the assumption that I'm a squad within his platoon. So I'm going to trust but verify. So I'm going to take another compass bearing. We are on course, Lieutenant. Sergeant Bennett replies as your fingers rest atop the compass case. The map oh, I'm the lieutenant. He's my... Okay, well, this helps a little bit more, knowing what's going on. On top of the compass case. The map references were pretty clear. It wouldn't be unusual for the trainers to throw you a curve by providing a dubious map. After all, leadership is about overcoming adversity, but they can't hide landmarks or moving buildings. Sergeant Bennett has been in the Army since before the big draft in the 40s. He knows his way around. And I'm a reservist returning to the Army. I'm a recently commissioned lieutenant, and I've been with the Army a while too. Okay, I guess I'm establishing my background here. But why would I... That task has started with the 16 million men who registered for the draft in the fall of 1940, and who would expand regular Army and National Guard divisions. Background set to a regular Army, prestige +1. Prestige is how much influence you have with your superiors after a scenario is over. Background set to 90-day. Wonder, trust +10. Trust is how well your men react to your orders within a scenario. 10 trust is worth approximately 1 prestige or loyalty. And I'm a reservist returning to the Army, loyalty +1, background set to reservist. Loyalty is how much influence you have over the men after a scenario is over. Prestige is how much influence you have with your superiors after a scenario is over. This is how much influence you have with your men after a scenario is over. And 10 trust is worth approximately 1 prestige or loyalty. So this sounds like you can go either way. Well, I guess I like the flexibility of being able to go either way. I guess I'm a recently commissioned lieutenant. The ink is hardly dry on your commission, at least by regular Army standards, but 90 days of intense training have made you feel like you could take on the world, which is good since the Germans and Japanese seem to be busy trying to conquer everything. The US has yet to send many divisions overseas, but really it is only a matter of time. Although Arcadia Conference has confirmed Germany as the principal foe, as both wished, there was no plan to ensure that forces would be deployed against Germany, other than the movement of 3 divisions to Northern Ireland and a vague agreement to land in North Africa. O'Hara, Vincent, Torch Page. Time to move.
So here I am in boot camp somewhere in Virginia, 1942, just like you will be soon. I'm going to start with our first concept that will be familiar and unfamiliar, your first learning curve aspect. So, like games like XCOM and frankly many tactical games these days, we use action points. We call them orders, and they have the green dots. So this leader has 4 action points. And no surprise, when he say moves, he spends an action point, which you can see happening there.
Okay. The U.S. Army will go to war in earnest soon. As an officer, your duty will be to lead the men of your platoon. You just have to find them first. Mouse over the book icons for history or image notes. So let's get something straight here. You know, being retired Navy, some of the Army jargon I don't understand very well, like regiments, platoons, squads. Obviously these are incremental sizes that fit within each other. I'm pretty sure squad is the smallest. I think regiment is the largest, and platoon is in between. I'm not for sure 100% on that, so if I screw up some of these jargon issues that are Army related, well, that's because, I wasn't in the Army. Anyway, let's click here and continue. Okay, left click to select the leader, to right click to move the leader. The WASD keys will move the camera. Use the scroll wheel to zoom in or out. Not terribly useful right now, but it will be eventually. Alright. I'm just getting an idea what's going on here. And evidently this is... So I've selected him, and then I right click here and we're going to travel over here. Fine. Okay, so the leader just expended an order. I understand that. Closer now, hills and mountains are always further than they seem. The gray circle that you saw float up indicates the expenditure of an order. Burden of command runs on orders. Every unit has some, and you can't do anything but get shot at without one. Orders are spent to move a unit. You can usually move a unit multiple times. Right? Right click to move the leader. A leader moving alone is quite fast and vulnerable. Am I alone? Is this my platoon down here? Yeah, I'm moving alone, ain't I? It's a good view, good enough to see a few stragglers from your first platoon. Looks like the kitchen patrol is still on their way to the obstacle course. Sergeant Bennett notes, and if we let them dog things, they'll never get there before dinner. Okay, white highlighted hexes indicate where you can move. Lighter colored hexes indicate what you can see. No change to verbosity. Verbosity is one of the 3 character traits. It reflects how much a leader likes to talk. Verbosity does not impact the tactical battlefield, but may add personalization to conversations. Verbosity is one of the 3 character traits. It reflects how much... Okay. Well, I have no idea how verbose I want to be. I don't necessarily think... How would I have been? If I'm thinking about myself, what was my leadership style? Would I have given a lot of speeches? No, probably not. I typically tended to lead by example. I could see me waving somebody forward. Sure.
This is a leadership RPG. We're always going to be focused on bringing out leadership aspects. In the Army, leaders are in charge of platoons, which is a group of squads or companies. And so there's a command structure, and we do that too. This is a squad here, part of my rifle platoon. For it to do something, I've got to order it. Or, if you want to make it simpler, activate it. So, did you see an order came up on me? Not just a squad. The squad paid its action point, but I'm just going to say order from now on. But I paid an order because effectively I ordered the squad.
Okay. You wave them forward, and conditioned by training, they obey. The squad must be activated to utilize their own orders. The leader will spend an order to activate a squad when the squad initially shoots, moves, etc. Once the squad has been activated, then have enough directions. No. Okay, it's just... So, they've got text to tell me exactly what the guy in the video just told me. They're making sure it sinks in, evidently. Alright, so click him, move him here. When a squad first activates in a round, the leader must expend an order. After that, the squad can use its orders without additional cost. Call for double time, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett asks. Click anywhere or press any number key to continue.
This squad has been activated. The leader no longer needs to pay an order to activate it. So let's move it, and you'll see no action from the leader. He didn't spend another order.
Okay. Move the squad to here to group up with your leader. Right.
I'm going to come down there, join my squad, lead, grab them both, and go somewhere. Now this time, they'll both pay an order. But be careful, it's not an activation order. They're both moving. You don't get a free ride. You got to pay for the move too. So, there you go. We're similar to games you're used to. Action points. But in this case, they're really orders, and they involve things like squad activation.
Right, orders. Here they are. Sergeant Bennett notes as Sergeant Layton. No relation. And his kitchen patrol reached the summit. Layton, can you see the obstacle course from here? Breathless, Sergeant Layton nods in the affirmative. His fellow spud peelers are all but ready to drop. No relation to who? Clearly they can't go very far with us. If only they were in better shape. They are not part of the coming exercise. If only they were in better shape. Okay, this leader has expended 3 of its orders. Only 1 order remains green and is therefore available. From this height, you can also see a little stream whose serpentine channel marks the bounds of your own training area. The stream isn't far, which is a good thing. The stream, like other terrain, costs more movement points to cross than flat, open land. You won't always be able to get somewhere in a single order, especially with a squad in tow. One last push should put your boots beside the stream, spent, however, but in position nonetheless. However, first you will have to detach from Layton's squad. The first left click of a hex selects both units in it. A second left click of either a leader portrait or the squad below will select only that unit. Do not follow Luke's example in the video and instead rebel and left click on the leader portrait repeatedly until only the leader is highlighted. You will see the selected portrait or you will be encircled by a pulsing ring. When you move the leader out, they will separate from the squad. Alright, so we're wanting to move just the leader himself. how do I know? So to me, I'm getting confused here. So I know they're trying to do this to teach me how it works, and I appreciate that. If the leader is separated here on this side, this makes it look to me like the leader is separated. However, when the leader portrait is having this little white effect on it, this is making me think it's separated. But over here, it's making me think that it's still attached. So these two things just don't feel like they... Okay, now this feels like he's detached. This doesn't. This feels like he's grouped. Alright, it was doing it differently before. Now it's doing it in a way that makes sense in my mind. Alright. Confirm move, just the lieutenant, right? Add engineers? Did you perhaps mean to include engineers currently unselected? No, just the lieutenant.
Honestly, it would have been simplest to design the game as 1 unit per hex, like many games do. But frankly, it just felt wrong not to have leaders in with their men leading them. So we committed to simple stacking. 1 leader, 1 squad per hex. So then how do you manage selection? It's simple. Click any unit in a hex, both select, because you probably want to move both of them normally. But maybe you just want to move the leader this time. Click again. And here I am. So I'll do the same thing again. I'll click the squad, and I go back and forth between just the squad and both.
Down by the stream. Let's take a breather, Sergeant Bennett suggests, but we're almost there. At this point, your leader should be out of orders. 3 to move your leader, 1 to activate the KP squad. The KP squad itself moved twice, the normal amount for a green rifle squad. Orders refresh at the start of a new game turn. Out of orders means we can't do anything. What if we didn't move that squad? Veteran squads have more orders. Have a question answered, then proceed. Well, I think I know what the answer is. Yes, veteran squads probably have more orders. And what if I didn't move that squad? Well, I probably would have been able to move further on my own. So, yeah, I don't need the questions. Very true. Once those are gone, a unit can't do much but be a target. Everything important in Burden Command costs an order. Want to move a leader? An order. Want to move a squad? The leader pays an order to activate the squad, then the squad expends its own orders to take actions. Shooting or assaulting, we'll get to those, but yep, an order. Since there are currently no enemy units around, just pass the round until a new game turn begins. End the round until new turn begins. Alright. Crossing that stream. The forest thins. At last you spy a hint of civilization. A little wooden bridge that crosses a gully and a low wooden wall beyond it. The clearing should be just up ahead, Lieutenant. Bennett calls back to you. A movement order can span a single hex or 4, but the order cost remains the same. Alright, well, I don't see the rifle squadron anymore. I guess they're gone. Move my leader here. Why there? I mean, because the game is telling me to, I suppose. The assemble point is a simple one, marked by a low retaining wall striped with white. At the sight of it, Sergeant Bennett flashes you a grin and stashes the map. There is a figure waiting in the lee of that wall, a fellow officer with the silver bars of a captain upon his collar and a dreaded clipboard in hand. You're nearly late, Lieutenant, the field umpire notes as he regards you. The pencil in his grasp has doomed plenty of officers to obscurity with a swift judgment. Well, he's a higher ranking officer, so... Salute. Sergeant Bennett gives a firm warning cough, but it comes too late. The field umpire shakes his head slightly. When out in field, such gestures are apt to attract snipers. Really? Sarcasm notes how sharp-tongued a character is. Sarcasm does not have any impact on tactical scenario. Being sarcastic may provide personalization during the interactive fiction. Today you will undertake a leadership exercise consisting of no less than 3 separate field problems. The field umpire says you and your men will be assessed based on outcomes including both objectives achieved and casualties sustained. You will take command of your rifle squad and we will proceed. Any questions? We just need to find the squad, Sergeant Bennett says. That will need more than a few waypoints on the map to figure out where they're at. Left click to select all units in the hex. 2, right click to move the units. Control right click a hex to set a waypoint. One order may move a unit many hexes. This reminder may seem repetitive, and is, but moving units, especially through mixed terrain, is in an infantryman's lot. The more difficult the march, the tougher the fight at the end. Well, the game wants me to move to the squad, so I guess we'll just do what the game is telling me. Blam, the field empire calls out from behind as you move over open ground. Lieutenant Einstein, you moved over open ground where a sniper could see you. That is a potentially fatal risk to take, and a dead leader is no help to anyone. Unless you've got a good reason to avoid moving through cover, you might as well make an effort to not get shot. You're the one that told me to do it, game. He's right, Lieutenant. There's no point polishing a turd, the sergeant remarks. Best get moving before someone decides we got shot again. Okay, our squad looks beat. Sergeant Bennett says it's true. By all appearances, they can't possibly take another step. Some might say their morale is low. Right now, it's dog dick low, like they've been suppressed by enemy fire. But they don't have to stay that way now, do they, Lieutenant? What would you suggest, Sergeant? An order, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says, and if you go with them and share their risks, then they will follow. And if any of them don't, then I kick a little ass. Okay.
Thank you, Sergeant Bennett. Sergeant Bennett is reminding me I need to teach you about the backbone of your company's performance. It's morale. So here we have a good order squad. It's green, no suppression, has 2 orders, moves about 3 hexes. If it tries to move under fire, pass the morale check to do that, about 70%. And if it fires at an enemy, 50-50. Now notice those initiative wheels, donuts I like to call them. You really want to win initiative. Because if you win initiative, you fire first, you suppress the enemy, reduce their morale, and then their fire back will be weak. Now let's look by contrast at this shaken company. It's yellow. It's lost about half its morale to suppression. First thing to notice, subtly, is it only moves 2 squares forward. It can still retreat because they're more cautious because they're shaken. Also, let's notice one more thing. Only 1 order. So the morale is actually reduced the total quantity of actions you can give this squad. Pretty bad. And guess, if you fire at them, not going to go so well. You're going to lose. And the morale check's unlikely. Finally, let's look at these poor guys. About 9 points of suppression. They're red. They're basically cowering. They won't even move forward. Though you can still move them back to get rallied, maybe behind a hill or in some cover. I wouldn't bother trying to fire. Not going to work, and you can give up on assault. Now, friend, let's have a little fun here. This is a 3-star unit, very experienced. What do you notice? It's got 3 orders, not 2. That's a big win. And guess how it's going to do in firefights? Very well. And guess how it's going to do on morale checks? Hey, it doesn't even have to pass a morale check to move under fire. Work hard, Captain. Maybe you'll have units like this eventually. Lead them well.
Okay. Rally. Rally will remove suppression. It will also expend all of the squads, not the leader's remaining orders. Alright, well, time to rally. To rally, a unit must not have expended any orders during the turn. It must be fresh. Your men want guidance and leadership, and that's why you're here with them. Most leaders must be grouped up with the squad to utilize certain orders. The captain would be an exception to that, but do not worry about this right now, because all you have currently is a single lieutenant. Select the leader, then rally the leader and the squad. This consumes one leader order to activate the squad and all squad orders to rally. Left click selects the order, right click the squad to enact. Okay, left click, right click the squad to enact. That did the trick, Sergeant Bennett says. Once we're organized, we can get on with the exercise. The field umpire tilts his head doubtfully. The men will be ready, but the question is, ready for what? The unit has no available orders. It is spent, but next turn its orders will refresh when it can use those orders to move, and one order can move at multiple hexes. This sort of sequencing is important to the ebb and flow of battle. If the enemy doesn't interrupt, the men will be ready to move shortly. You indicate as much to the umpire. He holds up a white flag for his opposite number across the field to see. A wave of blue flags are exchanged. The exercise will shortly resume. So long as either side has a leader with an order, the turn won't end unless both sides pass their round without spending any orders.
Anyone got a light?
One more time, end the round one more time to end the turn. The reason you have to end the round twice is to ensure that if you had other orders to give, you could give those. Impulsive chess. You're ready. The men are ready. The enemy is likely ready. The enemy had a round to activate units, but did nothing with it. Wait for the umpire to give the go-ahead. Bolstering and moving. Wonder what the clipboard wants to happen next. Sergeant Bennett asked quietly. As if on cue, the field umpire clears his throat. All right, Lieutenant Einstein, the enemy squad is in that house down there, he says, and ignores Bennett as he points. You can hear the clockwork tick of his watch. Faint but steady. Deploy your men and take them under fire, and remember, this exercise is timed. Indeed, that should concern you, the field umpire remarks. We do not want to refight the last war. Bolstering and moving. Movement in the trees, a dozen men and more in an olive drab, working their way closer. These are your men, sweaty and dusted from the obstacle course, and at the back is Sergeant Grant urging the stragglers along. I mean, this is just an exercise. But then again, it's just an exercise. No rest for the wicked. I get you, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says. We're out here to train so we can fight. When we're facing off against the Germans, we'll have to fight like we trained. The men may not like it, and they'll sure as hell gripe about it, but Grant over there will get them in gear. I trained him myself. The platoon is together again, if not precisely formed up in the best position. While you ponder that fact, the umpire watch continues to tick. Let's bolster their spirits, Sergeant Bennett says. That always boosts morale, though it doesn't last for long, but maybe it will be just long enough for what's coming next.
Remember Sergeant Bennett's wise comment that morale is the backbone of your company's performance? Well, what do you think the role of leadership is then? Of course, it's to manage that morale. Let's look at your tools. One of them is bolster. So here we have a good order unit. And if we were to attack, it'd be 50-50 on attack. It moves 3 squares. It has 70% morale check. But let's bolster it. A lot more movement. Hey, it's going to pass that morale check. And look at the firefight. Bolster enhances an already good unit so it is significantly more effective, especially for firefights. The experience and the trust of the leader comes to bear. Don't make the mistake, however, of thinking of bolster as sort of a poor man's rally, rally for one action. I've moved the leader down to this shaken squad, half morale, and I'm thinking, well, it's pretty poor for a firefight right now. Maybe I'll bolster it and it'll be fine. Well, there's some improvement. If you studied this, you'd see the suppress predictions are a little bit better, but you're still going to lose initiative. It's not a rally. If you want a unit with shaken or below morale to improve, rally. Rally, by contrast, fully restores morale for the long term. Of course, it does take a turn to do, so you'll have to pick the time and place for when you rally, for when you bolster, or for when you orchestrate your platoon and company to be effective all at once, rather than dribble in an attack on the enemy.
Alright. Starting to lose me here, but alright. Bolstering and moving. Bolster order will provide a boost to the morale of a unit until that unit moves, shoots, or does anything else that has the unit expend an order. Unlike rally, this does not remove suppression, but a bolster can boost a unit's maximum morale beyond its maximum. Bolster greatly increases the initiative in a firefight and the chance to initiate an assault. Bolster the leader and squad. Bolster improves the morale of units for their next order. They will move further, shoot better, and fight harder. Bolstering consumes 1 leader order. Left click to select all units in the hex. Left click the bolster button, then right click the unit. So they're wanting me to bolster the squad I'm already in that was just rallied? I guess so. What's going on? Bolster the leader and squad. Bolster improves the morale of the unit for their next order. They will move further, shoot better, and fight harder. Well, I just did it, but it didn't happen. Bolster button. The leader will consume 1 order. Left click selects, right click the squad to enact. Huh. Strange. Okay. Bolster complete. We're ready, Sergeant Bennett says. Where to, Lieutenant? Should we have Grant march down or go ahead? There are a lot of things you might want to order, but there is never enough time for the men to carry those out. Nonetheless, you're prepared to do what you can. You have 3 squads and only so many orders. Left click to select all units in a hex. Left click a specific unit again to select only that unit. You may also select a lone squad to activate it. Even if a leader is not grouped with it, orders will still be consumed as usual. Gonna return this a bit. I don't give a shit about that crap. Okay. After honors are reciprocated, Grant casts a worried glance around. Shit, I hope the umps don't whistle up a sniper check, he says, and then focuses back on you. Lieutenant, first squad and third squad have cleared the assigned obstacle course and are ready for more. From the groans that rise up behind him, the men definitely disagree. So much a sergeant can do, the rest will fall on all to you. Good man, Sergeant. Bennett says as the squad stops loafing. I expect he'll have my job someday. All squads are led by sergeants or, if there are casualties, corporals. They are the ones that receive your orders and act upon them. They do not appear separately on the map. Down the way, you spy movement in the house. The objective has not changed. Right, so I'm assuming I'm activating these guys. So that's going to use one of my turns. Rough odds. There they are, Sergeant Bennett says, as your men pass the word that they've sighted movement in the house, but those damn walls give them better cover than anything we've got. Nearby, the Empire with the clipboard makes a note, a lengthy one. Okay, let's prepare to open fire. Give the men some directions, and the umps will take note. Sergeant Bennett says as your men prepare to place the revealed enemy under their crosshairs. Every little bit helps us to build up our fire against the enemy. Left click to select the unit you want to have open fire, then right click the enemy. This will consume one squad order. Looks like we have an initiative. Okay, well, he evidently didn't like that. Whistle blows, the exercise halts as the Empire gets to work figuring out the damage to the enemy. Sergeant Bennett waits behind you. Halt the exercise, the field umpire barks formally, then signs the bottom of the page with a flourish. Lieutenant, you went over to first squad, but then did not form up your platoon properly prior to the attack. This would have resulted in some of your men being killed and time wasted until you could regroup for an actual assault against a now prepared enemy. Alright. By failing to rally for a squad, you put your men into a position they couldn't win. You can see that now. No, I assumed that 1/3 of my platoon were exercising a surprised assault and that I could then move in the other 2/3 on the following turn to flank. The umpire is in charge here and of higher rank. There's no point arguing or protesting, especially not when the platoon needs to be organized. Sergeant Bennett falls in as you head back to your platoon. No matter what you choose, that ump was going to find fault. Sergeant Bennett says, like being married, but without the fun parts. Hell, I bet getting something wrong was the point of the lesson. Contacting a squad was a good idea, you just needed some follow-through. It's too easy to focus on the fight in front of you and forget the rest. You should let us sergeants do that. We learn more from failure than success, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says, but you only had to learn this lesson once, not teach it 100 times. What exactly is it I'm supposed to learn? How to lead, Sergeant Bennett replies, not just when things are going well either. And maybe that's why there was no good answer here, because there might not be one over there. You have to keep your eyes and ears open. Alright, the men. Draw, field problem reset. Loyalty earned 7. The mission, draw. Umpire declared draw, prestige earned 7. No one out of action, sir. Exit before story continues. Game saved. Continue with story.
A good leader needs to be able to think ahead, anticipate a situation, and make a decision based on the best information available.
At last, the fighting dies down. Click anywhere or press any number key to continue. Okay. At last, the fighting dies down. Mission draw. Referee calls a da-da-da-da. This will help me defend those I love. And just like that, the exercise is over. The next will begin shortly. Right, Camp Picket, 24th September 1942. What are all these things? Aid your men, continue your journey. Click to read what they read. What is this? Resources you spend on your men must offer for more. The captain earns extra trust and XP based on men versus mission performance. You can see overall unit status at a glance. Aid your men. Cheat sheet. Click anywhere to continue. During training, aid is more limited. Click anywhere to continue. Click a portrait on the right to review and aid your men, or the question mark button on the bottom right for more help. It just showed me the same thing it showed me before. Lieutenant Unnamed, Lieutenant Wilson, Lieutenant Dearborn, and Lieutenant Stern. Captain Lamb. I'm assuming this must be me? These are my squads? If I click on this, what happens? Unit XP represents not only learning battle tactics. Increase XP by 25 at cost of 2 loyalty and 2 prestige. I see. Yeah, I don't think I want to do any of that right now. Done. Continue your journey. A Second Chance. 24 September 1942, Virginia, United States.
Well, it was infantry. And infantry is different than cavalry. We didn't have horses, but they had light tanks, the cavalry did.
So what kind of training then would you have in the infantry?
Bayonet, hand grenade. You don't throw a hand grenade like a baseball, you lob it.
Alright, second effort. 24 September 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. The soldiers of your platoon are weary in their boots as they march back to their starting places. The morning run and the recent field problems have both clearly taken their toll. Platoon Sergeant Bennett glances your way, and the unspoken question of whether to quicken or slacken the pace lingers between you. Well, we're here to train, so double time. Bennett passes along your orders, followed by a few choice insults to put the men into column. The men gripe about this until they're doing double time. At the assembly area, the field umpire with the captain's bars gives a little nod and recites his expected line. This battle problem concerns fire and movement, culminating with an assault upon the objective, except this time your platoon will have support from your company's weapons platoon. Heavy weapons coming up, Lieutenant. Sergeant Bennett notes as a dozen men from the weapons platoon hustle over. They don't have real 30 cals yet, just logs painted black. Those are supposed to be as heavy as the real thing, but the beefy officer leading the weapons platoon carries a log as if it were no heavier than a baseball bat. Lieutenant Stern. Waves Stern over. Stern waves back and strides over. You're almost late, Lieutenant. The field umpire notes. It was a long run from the target range. Stern replies evenly, but it'll be the Krauts who'll be doing the running when we take a crack at them. Yes, well, today's objective is for a combined armed assault on the farmhouse down there, the field umpire says and points to the little house in the distance. Time will be, as it ever is, a factor. Stern looks your way. Tell me what to hit, and we'll hit it hard. Enough for you to schlep right over, he says, then glances down at the 30 cal in his hand and chuckles. Well, we'll pretend to anyway. Back to your platoons, Lieutenant. The field umpire says to you both, you are allowed only limited communication while the exercise is paused. In particular, the weapon platoon will be initially unavailable. Because the field umpire replies, we want to see how your men perform with their rifles before we include the machine gun. Stern gives you a knowing nod at that news. As the two of you depart for your different platoons, you consider how best to develop this field problem. Your 3 rifle squads are organized as part of the first platoon. The machine gun and mortars are part of the weapons platoon. Each platoon has a leader. In command, Stern is in charge of the weapons platoon. We've got everything but tanks, Sergeant Bennett remarks. Each platoon will have a different role to play. Rifles expend up to 2 orders to shoot, but only 1 to move. Machine guns expend 1 order to shoot, but cost at least 2 to move. Mortars cost at least 2 times to move and up to 2 to fire.
Bennett tells me you're progressing, LT. So today we get to talk about tactics, not just mechanics.
Without further ado, why don't we go to, I think, the core of how we're different from most tactical games that the casual gamer or others might be familiar with, namely bang, 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 you're dead games. This is true of a fair number of tactical World War II games too, but I don't think of reality. You know, people don't want to die. You fire at them, they're going to get down behind the stone wall, and your bullets aren't going to do much. So, instead you need what's called the 4Fs. So here we are in Germany. You've got elements of a rifle platoon, you've got Germans up north, and your goal is to suppress them first. You're not going to succeed in killing them, they're in pretty good cover, and they're going to put their heads down. So you've started firing, but it's not just bang, bang, bang even for suppression. You have to be smart, you have to use your leadership, you have to bolster. Improving their fire. The leader is directing the fire here. He's using a heavy weapon, which is intimidating, higher rate of fire, puts more bullets around the squad, And, when you hear bullets whizzing by, you start to be suppressed, meaning you're keeping your head down. And you can see the color bars here are telling us the state of the enemy's morale. They've gone from green to yellow, and they will shortly be at red. They've been doing an effective job here. He's suppressed. Ah.
Finish the exercise before turn 2. Don't get anyone killed. Stone walls stop bullets, Lieutenant, Sergeant Bennett says, but they're not invincible over there. We've got the firepower. Let's have the other squad keep their heads down until Stern is ready. I mean, this seems like long distance fire, doesn't it? Enough rifles. You signal Sergeant Grant across the way. He replies with equal vigor and gets the other squads into position. A glance through your binoculars reveals Private Roberts as the soldier squints through the circular iron sights at a distant target. Besides him is Private Hancock, who apparently has again mislaid the protective ears on either side of his submachine gun sights, no doubt to remove something he considers to be a distraction. Officers are more than foot soldiers. Trying to be one is a bad trade. That's probably it for rifle work, Sergeant Bennett says, as the referees make their calculations, but we could give them a taste of 30 cal instead. Same rounds, but lots more of them. If we had permission to use a radio. No radios are available, however, we do have the flags. The umpire waves at a set of flags marked radio. You could always send a runner, of course, slower but more reliable if they don't get shot. The rifles took easy, accurate shots, the machine gun can spit out a lot more lead, but that alone isn't enough. That was probably the lesson the umpire wanted to teach. You signal Stern with the flags. He signals back in acknowledgement. All the while, the enemy keeps their heads down.
We further reinforce that sense of limited command and control by dividing the turn into leader rounds. If it's your leader round, you only get to lead your men, and you don't get to lead them doing Stern's leader round.
To get the heavy weapons involved, you'll have to switch leaders by ending the round. The enemy will then have a chance to react by taking their own round. Stern confirms the message, then Bar marks his clipboard.
That end toward the enemy.
One platoon at a time in the round. Generally, only one platoon leader can be leading at a time. The spacebar is the hotkey to end the round. After the enemy has their turn, have Stern open fire with the MG machine gun. Okay. That's a sound to hear and fear, especially since the machine gun is firing at the enemy beyond the effective range of their rifles. Sergeant Bennett declares, though it would have been even better if he'd bolstered his men first. Nearby, the field umpire checks his watch. That was a lot of firepower. Worst, the weight of carrying it forward, Sergeant Bennett says. But if we really want to make them huddle and puddle in their boots, we'll need the mortars. Lieutenant Stern will spot the fall of his unit's mortars rounds from his location. The umpire indicates that is the only way to ensure accuracy. The mortars don't need to be able to see the enemy directly to lob shells at them. They just need Stern to be in position to spot the fall of the rounds. The mortars could sit safely on the reverse slope of a hill and still contribute to battle. In fact, that is the way they prefer to conduct themselves.
Lay it on him!
Okay, left click Stern to spot. Pick support accent. You do this, that. Found, fired,
Some
and
of you will
fixed.
recognize this. But note there weren't any casualties. So, now we have to, ideally, flank and finish. And Dearborn, let's hope you can do the job here. So it's really about sort of laying down the field work for success. There's a lot of games that focus on drama of melee, but from what I've read, for instance, in Leo Murray's book, actually most assaults led to surrender or retreat because people suppressed don't really want bayonets in the stomach.
There we go, Lieutenant. Sergeant Bennett says, as the moment of calm fades, there ain't nothing a soldier can do about a shell that has his name on it. However, the squad isn't considered dead, merely pinned, and the field umpire notes, and they'll stay that way unless you execute an assault to either take the prisoners or force the enemy to retreat. Bang, bang, bang will not take positions or prisoners. The squad will just hunker down behind cover and wait things out. This is why you will need to make an assault. Let's take them in the flank, Sergeant Bennett says. No one fights hard if you hit them in the kidneys from the get-go. And if we can stay out of their sights, so much the better. When Stern cease fire, you will attempt exactly that. The odds of successfully initiating an assault can vary greatly. Even a moderately suppressed squad will almost never be able to manage it. But if a squad is in good morale, gets bolstered, and takes the enemy in the flank, well, they will almost always commence the assault. To see if the squad meets that criteria, look for the flanking morale boost indicator. End the round to switch over to the rifle squad.
That's the way!
Assault these enemies via a right click after selecting the assault button.
Get it done!
Take that position. That's the way, LT. Sergeant Bennett waves you over as the enemy soldiers in their red armbands run off. It'll be harder overseas, but we've got the method down here. Behind him, the field umpire ticks another box on his clipboard. Another enemy squad has been sighted, the field umpire notes. They were attempting to reinforce the objective and now have begun a counterattack. You must deal with them. Yes, the field umpire replies. 5 more minutes. Whistle blow. The exercise resumes at once. The little green eye icon indicates that one of your squads is still undetected, okay, by an enemy. You can see some of their units might also be undetected by your squads. A green eye icon denotes this on a given unit of either side. The fog of war cuts both ways. Okay. Have I been... Yes, there's a new enemy here. Am I free to do what I want to do? Lieutenant unnamed. That's Lieutenant Stern. I want you to bolster the machine gun squad. Invalid target. Okay, unit morale +2, unit movement, combat. Leaders must be in the same hex as the unit for morale and fire improvement. Unavailable? So I can't shoot at something I can't see? Is that what's going on here? Well, I'm not sure what it wants me to do here. Alright, I'm just going to end the turn. It's not really telling me what I'm supposed to do. Great exercise so far, huh, Lieutenant? Sergeant Bennett asked, pitching his voice up to be heard by the field umpire. The lessons Learn from the expended exercise will help save lives over there. The rare valid point. The field umpire remarks before you can put in a word. Proceed. Shouldn't we be suppressing them? We got suppressed. Huh? That's not what it said was going to happen. No, low morale. I'm confused. It can only go that far, huh? What does the yellow mean?
Yeah, heroes of the free fucking world here. I know. I'm with you on that.
Is there a way I can go back to the start of the turn? Restore one order to a non-leader unit. A non-leader unit cannot be pressed. Can I press this unit? Out of range. Assault to finish this. It's wanting me to assault these guys, isn't it? It looks like a terrible idea. They have the initiative according to these donuts. Supposedly we win this. The other squad is taken prisoner. No running off this time, whistle blows. Now the exercise surely over. Field umpire signals for you and Bennett to approach. The men, minor victory, exercise complete, loyalty earned. The mission, minor victory, exercise complete, prestige earned. No one out of action, sir. Alright, this is an interesting game so far. I have mixed feelings right now. This this boot camp situation we're in, it feels very slow, not very fun. However, I think it's doing an okay job of teaching us the basics. But I think they could have done this in a more time efficient, more fun way of doing it. This feels very drawn out.
Being a strong leader also meant being able to rely on others to help get the job done. That included fellow soldiers who had vastly different strengths and weaknesses than his own.
And so this exercise is over. The umpire's pencil makes a final note to the paperwork atop the clipboard. Mission minor victory. Finish the field problem before turn 3. The referee determines this to be the best outcome possible for the current field problem. Men minor victory. Referee determined that the casualties were minimal, below 10%. Full marks, the field umpire says, but the next exercise will not be so easy. You share a knowing look with Sergeant Bennett. Move on to the next exercise. Your men gather up, all 3 squads. Personalize your platoon, recommended. Standard Army designations are fine. Do not personalize your platoon, not recommended. Alright, well let's personalize it then. Right-click the portrait to open up. To personalize your own officer, first right-click your leader portrait. Exercise complete. Then click the Edit button. You can change your name, portrait, or the platoon insignia. When you click on other officers, you can also change their platoon's insignia, but not their name or portrait. Squad names can be changed. Current mindsets and details are also displayed. Discuss later. Well, is it going to let me do that? Can I do it from here? Lieutenant unnamed. Why did the game tell me to edit my stuff if it wasn't going to give me the opportunity to edit my stuff? What the?
No, no. When we left Fort Leonard Wood, nobody knew where they were going. I mean, they just loaded us on the train, and in fact, we didn't know where we were going until we got close to somebody, how it got out, but somebody said we were going to Camp Pickett, Virginia.
Alright, Captain in Command, 24th September 1942, Camp Pickett, Virginia. Your men trudge down the road towards the next training site. A jeep comes the other way, burdened with a big green army bag. Mail bag. Think that's our mail, Lieutenant? Sergeant Bennett asks. Given how the jeep practically overflows with cargo, some of it has to be for Nickel Company. Being separated from your wife is a hard thing. Marriage is supposed to be a bond, but right now the Army comes first. The men are certainly distracted by the possibility of their own letters, too. Sergeant Grant glances between Bennett and yourself, clearly eager for orders. Flag down the jeep, schedule a break. I bet my Sally didn't write. She doesn't much like how the Army deals with her letters, Private Morris says to the lanky soldier marching beside him. Could be worse, Private Patterson remarks, briefly glancing down at the slightly more rotund Morris. The Army could try to read her writing. Give a little laugh. It's funny and true, although given the amount of amphibious training that is scheduled ahead, the margin of difference might be slimmer than your men might like. Alas, most of the men seem fixated on the improbability of a hot lunch. Soon enough, the field umpire, that same captain as before, steps over and signals for you to bring everyone to a halt. This is Integrated Company Command Operations, the field umpire at the clipboard says. His uniform is somehow crisp despite the heat. right down to the black band of the field umpire neatly set above his sleeve. The good news is that the next exercise is ready. The bad news is that you, Lieutenant, are not. What do you mean? Technically, you are out of uniform, the field umpire says, and almost chuckles. Lieutenant Stern and Lieutenant Dearborn will be part of Blue Force. You, yourself, will be acting as their captain. You will have limited time to consult with them. Limited time, sir? Sergeant Bennett asks. In your stead? How limited? The field umpire taps his watch lightly and then gestures towards the nearby rise. Right over the rise. Over top of the rise, you find two lieutenants in the midst of conversation. Stern paces about, kicking pine cones up with every step. Across from him is a man of bearing, tall, without needing height, his hands clasped lightly behind him, Lieutenant Dearborn. Ah, Lieutenant, Lieutenant Dearborn says as he turns to you. We were just discussing strategies while we wait upon the captain. I'm going to explain the situation. Stern begins to nod halfway through. Dearborn eventually comes around at the end. This appears to be a leadership field problem, Lieutenant Dearborn says after a moment's thought. Best we embrace it for the moment. Yeah, let's talk strategy, Lieutenant Stern replies. The reinforced platoon from Red Force, Dearborn says, at least one machine gun. I didn't hear anything about that in the briefing, Lieutenant Stern says. A very brief briefing. An umpire may have mentioned it in passing, Lieutenant Dearborn replies. A warning whistle blows in the distance. The flag goes up from the nearby radio. Nearby radio men, the exercise is shortly to begin. For now, I am the captain. Let's get to it, Captain, Sergeant Bennett says. A captain is a wild card for orders. He can activate any unit in his company, regardless of the active leader, by using the Take Command button. Furthermore, a captain can bolster, press, and rally any squad in his company that is merely adjacent to him. In this scenario, you will play on the map as Captain Lamb, so that you can learn about the captain's role. A captain can take command of machine guns or mortars even if a rifle platoon leader is currently leading. He can also bolster, press, or rally any company unit that are adjacent, essentially allowing multiple platoons to act in tandem. This is getting really... I'm really tired of this tutorial already.
I think tactical leadership is all about leading men in combat, difficult moral decisions. But frankly, a lot of it's about coordination, or what the military calls command and control. Wouldn't be a credible leadership RPG without some of that. And you've got some problems, LT. Look at you. You're inexperienced. You've got 4 orders to run 3 squads. Contrast the captain. He's got 5 stars. He's got 6 orders to run. Wouldn't it be nice if you had that? Well, maybe someday you will. Now, you're running a platoon. You're not running Stern's weapon platoon, you're running your 3 squads. And the interface reinforces your spotting them. There are ovals for your platoon. They're also over here. And you have an insignia for your particular platoon. You're reminiscent of the cotton balers insignia. And by the way, you can customize that.
Yeah, you said that, but you never let me do it. Become the captain. A whistle is blown.
Mortars, forward.
Quickly now.
Okay, select the captain, but do not move. Rally button 3, rally adjacent unit. Unlike a regular leader, a captain can bolster, press, and rally their company squads when they are merely adjacent. So I'm supposed to rally this squad. That squad is getting their shit in gear, but we can press them to do more, Sergeant Bennett notes. Soldiering isn't about big desserts and beds of flowers. A pressing matter. Together, you and Bennett get the men moving again. There is no time to rest, not yet. The press order will expend one leader's order, but then refresh a single order for a squad. This is most often used when the squad is in a bad position, but is also spent and can't act. The squad becomes tired and can't be pressed again until it is rested, either via a rally or res command. Press a squad. Select the captain. Press. You want me to press the squad.
There's another reason we do lead arounds, to emphasize another coordination problem, namely coordinating your company of 4 distinct platoons, independently led. That's not easy, and so the rounds force you to choose what platoon is doing what. And there's a last reason. The military likes to say, the enemy gets a vote, meaning they're not going to sit quietly while you do all the wonderful things you'd like to do. They might want to do things that interrupt your plan, kind of like happens in chess. You get a move, they get a move.
Nothing like a few sharp words from a sergeant. To get a squad moving again, Sergeant Bennett remarks, once the excitement ceases, now we need them to lay down some fire to see whether the enemy is hiding over there. Send a messenger to Dearborn, Sergeant Bennett asks. It's his men, and you'll probably have other things to take care of shortly. No comment, the field umpire notes, except to say that a captain's time is valuable, which is why you have subordinates, what you can act in tandem with. Okay, they all lead to the same thing. select squad, click recon by fire, fire on the hex. If an enemy is hidden in the hex, there is a chance they will fire back and be revealed. As usual, shooting with a rifle squad will consume up to 2 orders. There they are, Sergeant Bennett calls out, and they're dug in like a dog on Monday. Time for mortars. Nearby, the field umpire makes a note on his clipboard. I don't... I'm not enjoying this, whatever this is, right now. So it's a lot of reading to then be told exactly what you're going to do, to then a lot more reading. Is this ever going to end? Okay, friendly artillery. Flags go up. The enemy over there registers the hit. You have unleashed the 105s instead of the mortars. The umpire indicates, I will recommend remedial artillery identification for you. Now then, you still have mortars available to you. Proceed to the overlooked position and act as a spotter for those lighter rounds. My exercise continues as you hurry up the hill. Move Captain here. Damn it, not again. Officer needlessly in the open means a sniper opportunity. Given that we do not wish to terminate the exercise, the efforts of Lieutenant Einstein may continue. Artillery support coordination is next. The target is that house down there.
So let's see some of these leadership problems of command and control in practice. We've got an assault situation. We're hoping to take out these Germans here. To make it a little clearer, let's turn on bases. And why don't I bring down one of my squads? Notice up here it's indicating it's going to be my round because I'm doing something. So it's committed to moving my platoon. Now I could move everybody now, but I want to emphasize you don't have to do everything at once. Let's just say I want to pass to see what the enemy does. So I do. Luckily they're pretty passive. I'm going to creep these guys up. I'm going to use hotkeys to make this faster. Now I feel in pretty good position for an assault, but unfortunately it's my round, so I can't really start firing astern. Let's pass. Remember, leadership rounds, command and control.
What was even the point of that video?
Stern's going to soften these guys up, hopefully. It's bolster, of course. You always want to do that to win a firefight. Ah, wow, that was nice. We got them red right away. Let's just do one more to be careful. Though when they're red, you're usually in pretty good shape for an assault. But why not be overly cautious once? But I want to keep the momentum going. Now here's my problem. What if they've got a leader in there who's going to rally them? The enemy gets a vote, right? So I can't make my assault this leader round because it's Stern's leader round. So what am I going to do? Ah, this is where your ace in the hole comes in. Your captain.
Left click the support button. They were saying the house, right? Flags go up, the exercise is paused. Ask the refs, check your numbers. Then verify things with the rangefinder. Eventually, they agree that the mortars were effective. The umpire points down the hill at where a team of Stern's machine gunners have positioned the big wooden log that represents their Browning 30 cal. Trouble is, the weapon has a blind side in regards to the southern objective. Select the unit, use the take command button, right click and adjacent hex. All units face one hex side that determines their firing arc. Use the take command button. Right. Click on this. Where am I supposed to face? Am I supposed to face the house, or am I supposed to face these guys? That didn't do anything. Take command. Stern's gunners swiftly reach a position there wooden log to cover more of the battlefield. That will have to do, the field umpire remarks. Lieutenant Captain, you may, as they say, fire when ready.
Captain Lamb here can do a couple of things. First, he's going to take this squad. You notice it's spent, and he's going to revive it. He's going to press it, give it an order. Notice he can do this even though it's year-round, because he's the captain. He's going to bolster. I bet you can see where I'm headed now. And let's do the assault. Notice I get to do my assault during my round. Hoping for the best. Ha! I use the captain to glue my company together, to coordinate my weapons platoon with my infantry platoon. So, use your orders carefully. Place your leadership appropriately. Manage command and control. Command and control on the battlefield is hard. That's why you've got the burden of command.
Okay, the 4 F's. Find the enemy, fix him into place by shooting, blank the position so the enemy can't fire your men, and finish them with an assault. You must use a squad to take an objective. A leader alone will not do. It's Dearborn's turn? I guess it is. Locked line of sight, huh? Shooting at an already suppressed enemy is unlikely to have any additional effect. They already have their heads down, and most times only an assault will force the enemy to retreat or surrender.
we are needed again.
Gefreiter! Ross, aim high!
Who did I bolster? I thought I was bolstering the unit I'm actually standing on top of, which was the mortars. And aren't you supposed to get 2 actions back, not 1? There is no artillery to call.
The day ain't over yet.
So that doesn't even make sense. I just pressed the mortars. And I don't believe the mortars can do anything because they need 2 action points to do something. So that was completely pointless.
Mickey Mouse is kaputt!
Hello, LT. I want to talk to you about one last nice aspect of your ace, your captain. He can influence troops adjacent. Doesn't sound that powerful, but it turns out to be quite efficient. So I'm going to have him bolster, I'll use hotkeys here, this adjacent member of your platoon. You didn't have to pay. Let's bolster these guys. Still didn't have to pay. Notice the enhanced movement. And if you want to be sneaky, you can even take command of one of my, or let's say one of your platoon squads, and pay their initial activation for their move. That leaves you free to do whatever you might need to do. Assault, lead firefights, etc. You can also rally. Powerful.
I feel like a lot of these videos are talking at me, but not really teaching me anything. Finally, the umpire refers to a telephone switchboard they have set up, stenciled on. Look at that beast, Sergeant Bennett says. Hope we don't have to lug it overseas. Right, whose turn is it?
I know you can do this.
No spotter line of sight. Well... crap. Guess I have to shoot at them then. poster.
Come on!
And assault. Failed assault. We just crapped out, Sergeant Bennett says, as the ref rolls the dice and decided that the assault wouldn't work. But maybe we can shift the odds back in our favor. To assault, use a high morale unit and preferably bolster the squad prior to making the assault. If possible, flank. Isn't that what I just did?
No can.
What the hell just happened there? I told them to move and they didn't go anywhere. Huh. There's a leader right there. I'm confused. This game is frustrating. I feel like this tutorial is not really managing to teach me anything. It's only confusing me.
Wir gehen nach Hause.
Gentlemen, open fire!
Huh? Remove suppression, thus restore. Okay, well, they're not suppressed, I suppose. A leader unit must not have spent any orders this turn. Okay, so he has to be fresh to rally a group. Okay. I'll suppress them then? Did that not do anything? Alright. Well, we just had random units that wandered onto the battlefield, eh? No, I don't want them to take command of that unit. I want him to go here. I want my mortars to fire here. I want these machine gunners. Keep them suppressed. Do I have to walk down there to order them? Check who's leading this round. kind of want to use them to assault with. Can I do that? Too far, no, low morale. How do I know what the morale is?
Where's that truck? Come on.
Right, we accomplished something. Hmm. Uh-oh. We found bad guys. That might have been bad. And it's Dearborn's turn, right? Too far.
Make your shots count!
I swear to God.
Gentlemen, follow me.
All the pencil
What about the unit I'm standing on? I want to assault. What's going on here? Is there not a unit here? Did the unit vanish? It evidently did. Where did the unit go? Good question. Okay, why isn't it doing anything? Fire! I didn't... It keeps shooting at range when I want it to assault. I want both of them to move. Dear Road cannot make that. Well, fine, then he can go.
Pick up your feet. Advance.
Rain of fire. Flags go up with the blows. What the hell? Sergeant Ben announced. Enemy bombardment. The field umpire indicates and then writes something on the portion of his clipboard. Late as usual. It will be heavy enough to mark the end of this exercise and the beginning of the review. Alright, this seems like as good a place as any to save up this first episode. I really didn't think I would still be doing the tutorial at this point. I'm on two minds of this game right now. It's a neat idea, neat concept, but Jesus Christ, this tutorial is terrible. Just let me get in and play the game. Anyway, yeah, that's how I feel about the game so far. I think it probably will be a great game once it finally starts. But right now, I feel like I'm just trapped in the tutorial, and the tutorial is not doing a good job of teaching. It feels very, either it's do this, this, and this, or it's here you go for it. It's like, I prefer the here you go for it, because that's a learning situation. So like the last thing was a better thing to learn, but I don't like I'm learning by so many errors, which I suppose it's a good thing that we're going through this so that I can learn by so many errors, so that when we actually do get to the actually fighting against the enemy, it won't be so bad. But so far, my gut, my fun level's not high, my gut is not enjoying. But my brain is saying, wow, there's a cool concept of a game here. So I'm torn. Anyway, this will be the first episode. Hopefully you're enjoying it. If so, please smash that like button, consider subscribing, and until the next time, all peace.